Hi everyone, it's Mary from Joyful and Mary Quilting. Today we are counting down the top 10 most watched Joyful and Mary Quilting YouTube videos of 2024. These are the videos you love the most this year, with tips, tutorials, and even a few laughs along the way. But wait, this is not just any countdown. For each video, I will be sharing a little backstory, a positive comment that warmed my heart, and a negative comment that either gave me a chuckle or gave me something to think about. If you'd like to watch any of the videos I mentioned, the links will be in the comments below. And stay tuned until the very end to discover the least watched video of 2024. And I can't figure out why it was the least watched. So anyway, let's get started. Number 10. Actually, number 10 has a tie vote. We had the exact same number of views for two videos that ranked in the number 10 spot, which is really bizarre. It would be different if it was like 15 or 20 views, but it was 33,779 for each one of those videos in 2024. So let's start out with the first one. This particular one had 153 comments. So kicking off our list is a tutorial that had quilters shouting, "Why didn't I think of that?" This video is all about glue basting your quilt binding for a flawless finish. And trust me, it's a game changer. So here's a positive comment. What a great tip. I will definitely be trying this next time I bind a quilt. And your video was a wonderful thing. You're such a great teacher. I can't wait to try this, and I will be purchasing the special tip. Thank you so much. Those were great. But then there was a negative comment, and it said, "My opinion may be unpopular here, but over time, it will affect your machine, and all that glue over time has to go somewhere. I don't want to risk paying hundreds to get a perfect mitered corner." So here was my response to that comment. Actually, your sewing machine needle doesn't come in contact with anything other than the fabric as the needle passes into the quilt, and then again when it comes out again. I don't sew my seam directly on that very thin line of glue. If you watch the video, I tell you that the glue is placed just above the stitching line, and I stitch just below the stitching line where I sewed the binding to the quilt top. I caution you in the video to make sure you are using the tip and making a very thin line to keep the glue from seeping out. And in addition, the glue is dry when I stitch. I don't stitch through wet glue. I press it with an iron first, and it is dry. With all that being said, I believe this technique is safe for my sewing machine. Of course, totally up to you. You have to make that decision. The tie video with number 10 was called "What You Need to Know Before Donating Quilts After a Disaster." Again, there were 33,779 views and 269 comments. In this video, my husband Terry and I sparked some important conversations. We explored what happens when disaster quilt donations go viral and how to make sure your generosity truly makes an impact. So, out of the 269 comments, here are some of the positives. Thank you for letting us know the right way to donate. And some of those percentages you shared are staggering. I had no idea so little was usable and how burdensome it can be. And also, thank you so much for sharing this information. But we did have a negative comment. Good info, but needs to be carved way down from 30 minutes. Don't need a lot of discussion and explanations. Get to the point. We know people are overwhelmed, etc. My response to that was, I get it. 30 minutes might feel like a long time, especially when you're waiting for the good stuff. But spoiler alert,
this was 30 minutes of good stuff. What
it really was. It really was. It was really great stuff. So that was the two number 10 videos in our countdown. Let's move on to number 9. In the number 9 slot was Sewing Room Treasures, 10 cool quilting products I forgot I bought. It had 36,625 views and 500 comments in 2024. Who doesn't love rediscovering quilting gadgets that you forgot you owned? This video was really a trip down memory lane with a lot of delightful surprises for me. There were mostly positive comments. I had asked everyone to let me know which of those products they had tried because I hadn't used any of them yet. I just found them in my drawer. But the clearly slotted trimmer ruler really got the most positive comments, and I tried it and I loved it. I actually did a video on it. As for negative comments, one said, have that needle threader, no good. My response to that was, the one product with the most negative comments was the needle threader, and I like mine. If you're careful and you operate it slowly, I found it worked with various sized eyes of the needle, small to large, and also with a regular 50 weight thread, but it really didn't work well with thick thread or with multi-strand embroidery thread. So that was my opinion. I still like the needle threader. I'm still happy with it. In the number 8 slot, we have 15 pet peeves every quilter can relate to. It was released on April 1st, April Fool's Day. This one was a little sassy and a lot relatable. From poorly cut pre-cuts, this was all the extra that I trimmed off, to calling a quilt a blanket, or to playing bobbin chicken and losing. We laughed and maybe we cried together. There were several positive comments and a lot of pet peeves that were added to my list. One person said, Mary, I chuckled all the way through this. I felt every one of them, LOL. Another person said, love this and loved the ending. The ending is really good. And one of my favorites, I have never seen your videos before, but I love you. This was super fun, and I'm excited to check out your other videos. Now, there was a negative comment, and all it said was, boo hiss, enjoy life. So my response to that is, yikes. Looks like my April Fool's humor, which prompted this video, might have missed the mark with that particular viewer. In the number 7 spot is the video, How I Turned Over 550 Scraps into a Beautiful Quilt. This particular video had 53,723 views and 61 comments. So as we approach scrapbusting season, which begins January 20th, Blue Monday, this video takes us back to a year ago when I demonstrated how I sort and I use my scraps to create this beautiful quilt. This video proved that even the tiniest pieces of fabric can turn into something stunning. The positive comment was, Mary, your scrapbusting challenge quilt turned out beautiful. You met the challenge and showed so many techniques each day. Thank you for that. Thank you for all of the hard work you put into making these daily tutorials, creating the patterns, and sharing all of your tips. You are amazing. Have a wonderful day. Oh my gosh, talk about making my day. That was such a wonderful comment. But bringing me back to reality, there's always a negative. And here's the negative comment. You ramble too much. Just do the tutorial. My response to that was, rambling? Me? Never. I like to think of it as adding a little extra thread to the conversation. But don't worry, if you're just here for the tutorial, feel free to fast forward. I promise I will not be offended. In the number 6 spot is the video Get Perfectly Flat Seams with this unbelievable pressing method. It had 54,941 views and 245 comments. This video blew people's minds. If you haven't tried this pressing method yet, what are you waiting for? The positive comment, one of them, was, OMG, Mary, what a game changer. I tried this after watching your helpful video and it was amazing. Flattest seams I have ever had, whether it's big or little. I will definitely be using this technique from now on. Thanks for sharing. Wasn't that nice? Now, again, negative comment. I've never used a pressing solution and all my blocks come out perfect. Wow, that's wonderful. My response is, that's amazing. If your blocks come out perfect without a pressing solution, keep doing whatever works for you. For those of us looking for an extra boost, this technique is a fun little trick to have in our quilting toolbox. In the number 5 slot, Quilting Borders, How to Miter Corners the Easy Way. This had 90,863 views and it had 201 comments. Mitered corners can be really intimidating. This is a mitered corner right here. But this simple video broke it down into easy steps. Corners equals conquered. So there were several positive comments, many. If you go through and read them, you'll learn even from the comments. One person said, Mary, your video and instructions were the best I found on YouTube about how to do mitered quilt borders. This was my first time mitering borders, and your technique is easy to follow and resulted in perfectly mitered corners. Another one said, thank you, it worked like a charm. My corners were perfect. And here's my favorite, thanks, I did it. You are a rock star. So anyway, then of course we had a negative. Someone said, you have made an easy job more difficult in my opinion. My response to that would be, and was, with over 32,000 views, now 90,000, but at the time this was posted there were 32,000, and so many quilters loving this method, it seems to be working well for most. But hey, quilting is personal. If you've got a way that feels simpler to you, stick with what works for you. We all have our favorite approaches. But I thought the comment was kind of rude, don't you think? Number 4. This video was called Comparing 4 Methods. Easily thread a needle for sewing or quilting. Now this is a hand sewing needle, not your sewing machine needle. It had 97,640 views and 212 comments. This video solved one of the most frustrating quilting challenges, threading a needle without losing your sanity. So the positive comments, there were mostly positive comments. In fact, nearly all of the 212 comments were positive. They included comments such as, I've been sewing, quilting, and beading for over 55 years and I have never seen the clover threader. Thank you so much for this information because I had given up on sewing since I couldn't see well enough to thread a needle with a small eye. Another comment was, clover is my favorite too. I use it each time I have to sew. And another one said, I got this as a gift. I can't believe I never used it. So that's the positive. Of course, there are a couple of negatives. One said, I have not had good luck with the clover threader. Now, not every tool works for everyone, and that's okay. That's why I shared 4 different methods in the video. Hopefully, one of the others will be a better fit for someone who's not interested in this particular method. Number 3, why you should never sew a scant 1/4 inch seam. There were 99,060 views and 546 comments. Now let me tell you, was it a controversial video? Maybe. Was it eye-opening? Definitely. This video challenged a common quilting myth and it really got everybody talking. I believe in using measurable terms, especially when teaching new quilters. One term that's used a lot in the quilting world is scant. I just refuse to use it. It's unmeasurable. Does it mean sew a tiny bit to the left? Sew a tiny bit to the right? Do you sew 1 thread over, 2 threads over? What is a scant? So that was the purpose of my video, trying to define how to create an accurate piece that measures what you want it to measure without using that unmeasurable term called scant. So there was a positive comment. It's kind of long, but it tells a story here, and it's exactly what I want everybody to understand when it comes to this video. The person said, first of all, this was very helpful to me. Then she went on to say, the first time I made a quilt that called for a scant seam, I had no idea what that was. So instead of researching, I figured it meant not quite 1/4 inch, and I went for it. So it was a queen size. She talks about that it was very intricate and it was a gift that she was going to give to someone. When she washed it, so many of her scant seams were too scant, the quilt came apart. She said, I was devastated. I ended up patching them together by hand. I was not proud to gift it, but I did. I wish I had seen this video before I made that quilt. Thank you. So I really appreciated that comment, and that's exactly what we're talking about here. Someone else said, thank you for this video. I have been struggling with the elusive scant 1/4 inch for years, and now I think I have been given a lifeline. Thank you. And another person said, yes, this is it. I always thought scant to be the most imprecise word. It is. That's why I don't like using it. But there were negative comments where people were so offended that I would dare say not to use that term scant. In fact, many said, you're just sewing a scant, which is true, but I'm measuring and I'm giving you a measurable term. There are those who just can't let go of that term, scant. Here's a comment. What you did was mark the scant 1/4 inch seam. So here's my response. I get it. The term scant has been around forever, and for some it works just fine. But for new quilters, or for those quilters who prefer clear, measurable terms, this method that I talk about in the video is the process without the guesswork. The goal is to make quilting approachable and precise for everyone, no matter what quilting language you use. And that's what I hope to achieve in this particular video, and probably why it was watched so many times. The number 2 slot is called Scrapbusting Mastery, Organizing Your Fabric Chaos. It had 102,195 views and 203 comments. So, who doesn't have fabric chaos? This video turned chaos into order, one scrap at a time. I gave out my free PDF with my scrapbusting system last year, 2024, and we will have a new updated version for the 2025 scrapbusting season that's coming up on January 20th. As for a positive comment, a system that makes sense and is doable. I have an elephant of scraps, but I'm going to do this one bite or color at a time. There may be hope. Someone else said, best fabric organizing ever. Love it. And a third comment, I absolutely love the way of sorting and cutting down fabrics to use in future quilt blocks. It's a very efficient method, and thank you very much for the free handout. The negative comment was, I don't have time to even make the quilts I've lined up now. Do you really think I have time to organize scraps like this? Maybe not. Time is definitely the ultimate quilting challenge, isn't it? But here's the thing. Organizing your scraps can actually save you time in the long run by turning chaos into a ready-to-use stash for future projects. Think of it as an investment in your quilting sanity. That said, if your current system works for you, stick with it. Quilting is all about finding what fits with your style and your schedule. But please stay tuned for our scrapbusting season as it begins on January 20th. You're gonna love it. We have a quilt that we're gonna be putting together that is phenomenal, and we will be letting you know all the details very soon right here on our channel. And now the number 1 most watched Joyful and Merry Quilting video for 2024 was called The Top 10 Items I Wish I'd Known as a Beginning Quilter. It had 126,160 views and 473 comments. The number 1 video of 2024 is really a reflection on lessons learned and tips I wish I would have known when I was starting out. It's been amazing to see how much of this resonated with all of you, whether it meant rulers, rotary cutters, blades, pressing tips, or pins. It's all there. There's more than just those. The positive comment that I had was, this is the most useful video I've seen as a beginner. Thank you so much. Great teaching, concise. That was so nice. And also another comment, wow, this was an eye-opener for me. An experienced quilter, I have some of the products, but now I'm going to get them all. Wasn't that nice also? Thank you. And then another comment, thanks for the tips. I'm a new quilter and I was confused about certain items. You cleared it up for me. One more. I appreciate your videos so much. I'm learning so much. I've been sewing for over 60 years and now I'm developing my quilting skills. There are videos, tutorials, and classes for everyone at Joyful and Merry Quilting. Of course, again, there's always a negative comment. Someone said, they carry cheap rotary blades at Harbor Freight. They're carpet cutting blades and they fit my rotary cutter. Okay, here's my response to that. They may fit your rotary cutter, but they don't cut fabric well. I did a test on those blades after someone suggested I give them a try. They're really inexpensive, but they are for carpet. They're not for precise cutting of fabric. I can't recommend them. The cut was not clean. It was frayed, it was frazzled, it was jagged. I couldn't easily cut layers. There was a lot of difficulty with that particular particular blade. Yeah, they were just over $1 each. They're cheap, but in my opinion, a waste of $1. Here's my product review. Here's the link. And if you'd like to take a look, you can watch the whole video where I do compare different blades and how they work. So my comment is, hey, you've got to start somewhere. And judging by the views, this video hit home for a lot of quilters, and that's why it's our #1. Before we wrap everything up, here's one more video that I would like to share with you. It's the least watched Joyful and Merry quilting video of 2024. And honestly, I don't know why it's the least watched. I thought it was really a good, helpful video, but it was the least watched. It's called The Quickest Way to Make Perfect Quarter Square Triangles, right here in this quilt behind me. Here's a quarter square triangle. There are 4 triangles, 4 quarters in this square, quarter square triangle. And it looks a little complicated, but actually it's quite easy to make. But it only got 4,079 views. It may have not gotten much love, but it is really a gem in my book. It's so versatile. The block is easy to make with my video instructions, and overall it is a great unit that's found in many quilt blocks, something worth mastering. So thank you all for an incredible year. I could not do this without you. Be sure to comment below with your favorite video of 2024, or tell me what you'd love to see in 2025, and I'll do my best. Until next time, I am always trying to be joyful, but I will always be merry. Here's to a great 2025. We'll see you again. To accommodate you. So until next time, I am always trying to be joyful, but I will always be merry. Here's to a great 2025. See you then. Oh, geez. Oh.
Here's to a great 2025.